Now, when I did my video yesterday on the kidnap of very prominent Tanzanian business mogul, Mo Dewji, I had not really reached out to my contacts within the country to try and get a feel of what most Tanzanians believe. I focused my report on the actual kidnapping and the involvement of the so-called Wazungus, white men, in the kidnapping of this businessman. My expectation was that when I reached out to my contacts within the country, they would be shocked when I told them that all indications are that the government was involved in the kidnapping of this businessman. To my utter surprise and shock, I didn't surprise anybody. I was not giving people shocking news. Now, this is very explosive. Why is it explosive? Because it has huge political implications in Tanzania. In my view, it marks a significant turning point in the politics of Tanzania. Because thus far, President John Pombe Magufuli has been receiving wide support right across the country for his leadership. However, the biting economical problems, which were there even before this kidnapping ordeal, those biting economic hardships that have been mounting, mainly as a result of government policies by the Magufuli regime that make absolutely zero sense. They don't make sense. When you combine that with this latest kidnap controversy, it all adds up to being the last straw that broke the camel's back. Now, on paper, Dewji is not a national politician. Yes, he has been a legislator for the Singida area, but that's just a constituency. He is not and has never been a national political figure. However, he is a patron of one of the largest soccer teams in Tanzania, Simba. Just like in Kenya, where we have Gor and AFC Leopards, in Tanzania they have Simba and Yanga, or Young Africans Football Club. These are the two giants of soccer in Tanzania. But there's one huge difference between Kenya and Tanzania. In Kenya, we have football fans, who are many, but we can't say football is followed right across the country. However, in Tanzania, it's different. You go to any part of the country, any remote corner of the country, and when these two teams are playing, everybody is glued to the radio. When either of these two teams are playing other teams, and the results are going to impact greatly on who wins the National League, everybody in the country is glued to the radio, is glued to the televisions, is glued to any source of information giving them updates on the game. And this includes the ladies. That's one great difference between Kenya and Tanzania. The ladies are also big soccer fans. Or maybe let me rephrase it. The ladies are also big fans of either Simba or Yanga. And so, by Mo Dewji being a major sponsor, major patron of Simba, he becomes a nationally recognized figure. And indeed, he has been a nationally recognized figure. But not in a political sense. However, with the latest mishap, the latest bad thing that has happened to him, it seems that a large section of the country has rallied behind this businessman. And suddenly, out of the blue, indeed from nowhere, the draconian dictatorial regime of Dr. John Pombe Magufuli is now facing, or rather hurtling very rapidly towards its first, very major political crisis. And a clear indication of that is the reaction we are seeing from sycophants of Magufuli. We're getting repeated statements from Magufuli henchmen that the kidnapping of Mohammed Dewji, is not to be discussed. Politicians have been warned very strongly not to discuss this issue. Now, Tanzania is supposed to have a constitution, and the constitution allows people to think freely. and to express their opinions. But now all of a sudden, these sycophants are coming out and telling people to shut up. Yeah, they should not discuss this latest kidnapping, which is a national issue. Indeed, it has attracted international attention. So you can imagine what kind of attention it has attracted locally within Tanzania. So the question is, why are they fearing open discussion on this kidnap deal? Well, the reason is obvious. And that reason is that an increasingly large number of Tanzanians are now starting to believe that this man, the kidnapping of this man, is linked to the government of John Pombe Magufuli. What Magufuli sycophants are fearing will happen has already happened, has already started happening. And politically, because now this has become politics, very suddenly, without warning, it has become politics. And it has completely changed the political landscape in Tanzania. And this is how it has changed it. It is no longer CCM versus the opposition parties. It's no longer about the government of John Pombe Magufuli and the opposition parties who are jealous and who are trying to stop a man who is bringing in changes into the country that are supposed to benefit the individual Tanzanians, the common Tanzanian person. Instead, it has now become a political landscape of all Tanzanians, irrespective of whether they are CCM or the opposition, all Tanzanians rooting for Mo Dewji against John Pombe Magufuli. Now, this is an extremely dangerous situation politically. It is dangerous because it's precisely the kind of thing that can cause, trigger, spark off a national rebellion against the government of John Pombe Magufuli. Something unprecedented, something unimaginable in Tanzania. But now, it is no longer unimaginable. Indeed, to many political observers, including myself, and I believe I know Tanzania quite well, it is a very high possibility. And that is why I've said, for the first time since he took power in 2015, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli is hurtling towards his first, very major political crisis. Now, don't fool yourselves. Tanzania has some great political thinkers. And many of these people are still in the camp of the president. And I'm sure these handlers of the president have realized that there's only one way to stop this crisis. Only one. And that is for Mo Dewji to be found safe and unhurt, and for him to be returned to the people of Tanzania who love him so much. Now, human nature is very strange. People may love you, or people may be very casual about you. But if something bad happens to you, like you die, you suddenly become more famous than when you're alive. Or even if you're kidnapped, and when somebody's kidnapped, you're not sure whether they're alive or not. It is human nature that person, their popularity suddenly skyrockets. And this is exactly what has happened to the kidnapped Tanzanian tycoon in the eyes of most Tanzanians. So the only way to nip that in the bud, to completely forestall and stop that crisis from happening, is to produce Mo Dewji, and return him. And then the whole thing will fizzle out and things will go back to normal. Now, in case Mo Dewji is not alive, God forbid, then the government of John Pombe Magufuli, kaput, finished, kwisha maneno. It is really as simple as that. Now, we have been talking about the Overton prophecy on this channel. I've been talking about it so much, it has made some of you sick. Some of you have even threatened me. You have told me point blank, Chris, if you don't stop talking about this thing, we're leaving your channel. And in all that time I've been talking about the Overton prophecy, it has never crossed my mind that this prophecy may include the entire region, not only Kenya, but our neighbors, Uganda and Tanzania as well. Even when we had some very interesting and unforeseen developments in Uganda, whereby a man called Bobby Wine emerged, and suddenly it was clear that dawa ya Museveni imefika. Loose translation, the antidote to the poison that is called Museveni had arrived for long-suffering Ugandans. Even then, it never crossed my mind that the Overton prophecy may apply to the entire region. But now, with the political developments in Tanzania, which have happened in a flash from nowhere, I'm thinking twice. Indeed, I am convinced that the Overton prophecy embraces our neighbors and our brothers and sisters in Tanzania. And at this very moment, I'm just kicking myself as to why I didn't see this earlier. Because, for instance, in Tanzania, we had an opposition leader, the chief whip of the opposition, a man called Tundu Lissu. Unknown people, and by the way, whenever you see that phrase in the region nowadays, when you hear unknown persons, or when you see it written somewhere, unknown persons, just replace it with the government agents, because that's what it's shaping out to be. That's exactly what it's shaping up to be. Anyway, unknown people pumped bullets. Bullets from an automatic weapon into a car, targeting a person, Tundu Lissu. And the guy survived. Now, I know not all of us are religious. I know we have different beliefs on this channel. But you will never convince me that God's hand was not there at play to make this man survive. How? Go anywhere in the world and tell any gun expert that a car was sprayed with bullets, and bullets targeted at where the person they wanted dead was sitting, and the guy survived. That is an absolute miracle. If nothing else, that should have been a clear sign to me. Looking back, I can see it now. That should have been a clear sign to me that the guy upstairs has stood up from his seat and he has decided to interfere personally. Now, when Almighty God gets involved in a situation, it doesn't matter whether they believe in God or not. When Almighty God gets involved in a situation, it doesn't matter how powerful you are. It doesn't matter how you have cheated and hoodwinked an entire nation of millions of people. That doesn't matter. Things can change in a flash. And folks, that is exactly what is shaping up in Tanzania. Mark my words. Now, there's one thing I'm very sure of, even as I make this video. Those deep in the government and regime of Dr. Pombe Magufuli are this very minute sweating. And if they're not sweating, they are fools. And I believe, and I want to believe, they are not fools. They know. And the sad thing for them, their options are rapidly narrowing. There are very few options. Because let's look at this thing without emotion and without any more feelings. Let's just analyze it coldly. And let us pretend for a minute that we're on the side of the government of John Pombe Magufuli. What do? There's only one thing to do. Produce this businessman like yesterday, very quickly. And if the circumstances are such that he cannot be produced, maybe he's badly injured, or maybe, God forbid, he's dead. If that is the situation, if I were the president of Tanzania, I would start packing my bags early. That is really what it is. Now, and I'm not exaggerating. Just wait and see. Now, this situation is so serious that assuming that this man can actually be produced, he can be returned, even then, things in Tanzania politically will never be the same again. Folks, that is how serious it is. And the very sad thing here, in case, because there's a remote possibility, in case the government was not involved in any way in the kidnapping of Mo Dewji. Yeah? Still, it doesn't matter. We have reached that point where it no longer matters. All that matters is for him to be returned to his family and to his people. Period. Nothing else. No amount of political rhetoric. No amount of creating funny stories and theories about him being kidnapped by white men who have perhaps flown him out of the country to some remote place in Europe or the US or wherever. Those stories will not work. And now, to tell you the truth, in my view, this is getting super fascinating. In Kenya, we have our issues which are simmering. Yeah, they're almost reaching boiling point very soon. Yeah, you will see. In Uganda, the same is happening. And now in Tanzania, something has happened so suddenly, without any warning. Yeah, maybe some people just thought we can continue to do the same thing we did before. Kidnap people, they disappear, people don't say anything. All of a sudden, something has happened that will make things happen in Tanzania that have never happened before. Not only that, things that people have never imagined in their worst nightmare would ever happen in Tanzania. That's really what it is, folks. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.